Welcome to Breathe California TV. Breathe California is the lung health nonprofit for the state of California. This show is called Environmental Concerns, and we're going to talk to you about ways to improve your health or ways the organization is working to improve your health. So next up will be Sheila Phan from the Breathe California staff. We'll be back in 30 seconds after this public service announcement.
My name is Rene Montez. I've been using the CPAP machine, I would guess 10 years. I got so accustomed to it, I don't go anywhere without it. I take it with me everywhere. From the moment I put it on, I thought it was the greatest thing because the breathing was a lot easier, and after using it for a couple nights, I felt a lot of energy. Breathe California is fabulous.
This is Breathe California TV. I'm Terry Trumbull. I've been hosting this show every week in San Jose and Campbell for the last 33 years. And a year ago, all of Santa Cruz County picked it up. So we have fun communicating ways to prevent injury to your lungs, which may be your most important single body part. Things like smoking not only annihilate your lungs, but are the biggest cause of heart damage. So today we're going to be talking with Sheila Phan, who's with Breathe California staff in San Jose. Welcome, Sheila.
Thank you, Terry. I'm happy to be here.
So tell us about what your role is for Breathe California.
Yeah, so I joined Breathe a little under 2 years ago. I began as a tobacco intern, and my love for health education advocacy stemmed from having a lot of sick family members from smoking. And so I knew that with my passion and family history of smoking that I really wanted to get into this field. And I was lucky enough to then move on as a project coordinator for our California Tobacco Control Program grant. And I do a lot of amazing work. I've had the opportunity to work on a bunch of different projects, both in the educational realm, in addition to the policy realm, and of course, advocacy realm.
So last Saturday, you and I were involved with a retreat for the board of directors and staff of Breathe California. I kind of remember our executive director, Margot Seidner, mentioning some up and downs in tobacco statistics. My recollection is when the state started running anti-smoking ads, and I want to say maybe 1988, that the rates of smoking fell very far, but it sounded like Margot was saying that the vaping and other ways that the tobacco industry had gotten us to put poisonous smoke into our lungs had raised the statistics. So is that true, and have they fallen?
Absolutely. So with the traditional smoking cigarettes rates, that has gone down dramatically over the years. And that is the amazing result of advocacy work and education, policy control. However, we see that the recent years, I want to say within the last 10, 15 years, with the moving forward of more technology, being the center of Silicon Valley, we see that there has been an increase in vaping use. So more popularly right now, it has been single-use e-cigarettes. And I want to preface this by saying that e-cigarette waste is definitely going to be the most polluted item on our earth. That's what we saw with cigarette butts, and it still is the most polluted item on our planet. But if we don't do any change or see any change within the next few years, that's going to transition to these electronic smoking devices and single-use e-cigarettes being their replacement.
So when I was in the Army, I hated cigarette butts. The military then in our meals gave us free 4-pack of cigarettes, and everybody thought they could throw cigarettes away in the ground. So when we got breaks, the drill sergeants made us go up and pick up all of that filters. So are the mechanisms that are being sold to get e-cigarettes into your lungs, do the buyers just generally just throw them away in the ground like cigarettes?
Yeah, it's really surprising to say that. You know, when we talk about disposing of just any device with the battery, it is the best practice to you know, turn it into a hazardous waste facility. And we don't see that often with individuals that are using single use and these electronic smoking devices, because it's an inconvenience, right? They don't want to, you know, depending on how many vape cartridges they go through in a week, they're not going to do a weekly visit to the waste facility. And so we see a lot of individuals just disposing of it as if it is not toxic. So, you know, of course, that would lead to runoff with the battery acid, and just overall more pollution in water, in our waste system, then affecting the animals and the water and just everything.
So would you recommend throwing away the containers for it in just the regular trash?
Absolutely not. We recommend, usually there are different facilities, such as the, if we look on the California Hazardous Waste website, there are different locations for individuals to drop off their items and their completed cartridges. Even so, there should be, usually where retailers, tobacco retailers do sometimes have disposable locations. And then the tobacco retailers can send the large amount of, you know, completed and empty items off to the hazardous waste facilities.
So for whatever it's worth, the county has a hazardous waste disposal site on 10th Street in San Jose near Spartan Stadium, and that might be a good way to get rid of it. If you're in Campbell, check out what your city does, because there are different spots in each of the cities in our county. But you mentioned it as plastic waste. That's becoming, I would say for years it's been a problem. It's just people are finally becoming aware of how serious that is. Are the containers things that can get into our water pretty easily, or what can happen to them to create a problem?
Well, it just starts from just the production of nicotine in general. It starts off with deforestation, to make land to grow the tobacco plant in order to cultivate the nicotine from that plant. And then it goes into, you know, the actual land being watered to grow the tobacco plant. Then that leads off to runoff with the different pesticides that are grown, or used to grow. And then from there, with the cultivation, they're using a lot of water to make that crop, essentially cultivate that crop. And then from there, with the production of the actual product, we see, you know, that's going to go into the factories, and then that's going to produce even more runoff. And then, of course, when it comes into the consumer's hands, you know, then it leads to littering, which then goes into our sewer systems with littering. Then it goes into our water systems, then affects the animals and the plants. And then it's just this endless cycle of really damaging our environment.
So Breathe California has been active in trying to get cities as well as the state to ban vaping. How much success have you guys had with doing that?
Yeah, so I must say that it has been a very long process, um, way longer than I have been on our team. But it has gone really well over the last couple of years. So I know that within the last couple of years, we've been really, really, really pushing for the ban on flavored tobacco. And that was passed greatly last November with the state elections. So at this moment, flavored tobacco is banned. So individual retailers are not allowed to sell flavored tobacco. And there are loopholes though with the current ordinance or the current policy in place at the state level. However, when it comes to county level and city level, it really does depend. There are some cities that have really, really strong ordinances in place with very few loopholes, which is amazing and what we want to see. And there are some cities that are a little bit more lenient and have a little bit more loopholes in place. But those are the areas that we are trying to focus on within the next coming years, making sure that there are less exceptions and less loopholes in policies.
Yeah, the things that you and I'll talk about here with smoking have pretty much always been a problem. It's just there's just a limited number of people that can get around to doing something about it. You mentioned family smoking, and I hope you didn't catch anything from that. We worked very hard on secondhand smoke a few years ago and got San Jose and other cities to ban it in parks near playgrounds because it could impact kids. Anything more you want to say about that?
Yeah, so I wanted to highlight that Breathe California has a secondhand smoke helpline. So we're able to help individuals. A lot of the callers that we receive are individuals that live in multi-unit housing, whether it be apartments or townhomes, and they are affected by the secondhand smoke that they're experiencing in their homes and in their units. And so what we do is while we really do preface this by saying that we don't do any enforcement. We really want to make sure that we are advocating for our community members. And so the work that we do primarily is to advocate for individuals who are experiencing this, voicing it to their landlords, voicing it to property managers and different housing agencies to let them know that this is an issue that their community members are facing. So we're making sure that individuals are heard and are listened to and accommodated to, and not experiencing secondhand smoke in a place that should be of comfort for them, and they should be able to breathe freely and clean air.
Yeah, secondhand smoke can also reduce the value of building a house, or many of us have experienced renting cars, and it's illegal to smoke because it'll ruin them too. So why don't you explain, if you have a 5-story apartment building, how somebody smoking on the 5th floor could impact somebody on the 2nd floor?
Yeah, so with apartment complexes and most times the vent systems are connected. And so, that easily could travel from one floor to another. And while, one person on the 5th floor, even though it's higher up, smoke still does travel. So it doesn't just travel up, it travels down, above, below, side to side, everywhere. And when it comes to even secondhand smoke, it's not just affecting individuals in that moment. Whenever that individual, say on that 5th floor, is smoking and inside their unit or on their balcony, And they decide to move to a different unit or move to a different location, and a new individual moves in. There's secondhand smoke and thirdhand smoke residue all over. So it's something that we can't see, but that doesn't mean that it is not dangerous. So ideally we would make sure and like for the property managers and housing agencies to do a thorough professional third-hand smoke, secondhand smoke cleaning. But we realize that sometimes that's not an option, and that's not possible for a lot of different locations. And so as a result, individuals that are moving into that new unit where there were smokers are then impacted by that, and being exposed to that third-hand smoke residue, which then negatively impacts their quality of life and health.
So Sheila and I are going to talk more about smoking in 30 seconds, and stay tuned with us after this public service announcement.
The different therapeutic methods that we can help our very low socioeconomic status clients who have no alternatives, no anything, and there's still about 15 different resources we got out of this, that if you have no resources, no service connection, you can still get aid.
That they are connected, one encourages the other, and that the process of change from backing off from the tobacco is the same as backing off from any other addictive drug.
Everyone can benefit from this training that we just were offered today. I would not take it back.
Welcome back. This is Breathe California TV, a show called Environmental Concerns. We've done shows in the past about how the ocean affects your air quality, or plants that can help your air quality. Traditionally, what Sheila and I have been talking about, smoking, has been what Breathe California has worked on for the last 100 years, because it was such a pervasive part of our society. And thanks heaven, our residents here in this county have gotten the message and reduced their use, but we still have problem areas. One of the things I was astounded about when we were trying to get City of San Jose to ban parks was to see studies that you could be 60 feet away from a smoker and it still could create a risk for you with cancer. So what kind of stuff are you doing? What's the grant with the state all about?
Yeah, so we focus on 4 main areas. So the first one is smoke-free outdoor dining and smoke-free areas in general. So we do a lot of work with different cities. Specifically right now, we have been working in the city or the county of Monterey to implement some smoke-free outdoor dining, just because we realize that that is an area that has a bustling outdoor dining scene. A lot of cities within the county have had outdoor dining, and we realized that a lot of them do not have a smoke-free policy. And so we really want to make sure to address that in those areas. We also have been working in making sure that different behavioral health and mental health agencies are implementing some sort of tobacco cessation policy, with the new Assembly Bill 541, which states that any behavioral health or mental health agency that provides services to individuals is required to ask of individuals' tobacco use, and then provide some sort of service, whether it be cessation information or other resources to that individual. And then our third objective is to focus on flavored tobacco work. Everything revolves around Prop 31, SB 793, the flavored tobacco ban. And then our last objective is focusing on smoke-free community colleges and trade schools.
Which will be our next show, is going to be on that, worrying about smoking in schools. So Breathe California is a resource for a lot of that, isn't it? My recollection is doing health fairs and having brochures on 13 different lung diseases in virtually every language that somebody speaks in the area.
Absolutely. We're really proud of that. We have been to so many different health fairs. We average around 75 to 100 health fairs in a single year. And we're really trying to be proactive in our community. So wherever health fairs that there are, whether it be health fairs, career fairs, anything revolving around health, we most likely will be there. And we have a wonderful team of staff members as well as volunteers and interns who represent us really well at those events. And we love to interact with our community members and ask them what they're interested in seeing, and also educate them about what we have going on and the different resources and services that we have. And yes, you're right, Terry, we have a bunch of different languages of our brochures ready to give out to individuals.
So both you and I, under our names on this TV show, have lungsrus.org, the Breathe California website. So tell our audience what they would find if they logged into that.
Yeah, so anytime any individuals will go to our website, which is lungsrus.org, you will see a bunch of our different services. So you'll see our asthma services tab, our COPD senior services. We also have our CPAP program where individuals can request for a refurbished CPAP machine. And we have a bunch of different resources, essentially an archive of the amazing programs that we have done in the past, as well as a essentially resource of based on any based on the county or city that individuals live in, they can look up different resources specific to their city, specific to their county as well.
So what are some of the other diseases? The last program I did was Dr. Lula, one of our directors, on COPD. You know what that stands for?
Yes, chronic pulmonary obstructive disorder. So yes, that's one of the, it falls under our senior health and wellness department. So that's one of the focuses that we like to cover. We also do our asthma services, where we have asthma remediation services through our amazing coordinators, Kieran Carr and Dolores Ramirez. And then we focus also on tuberculosis, which, that's what Breathe California started off as, the Association for Tuberculosis. So we want to continue on with that and provide that service and education, because Santa Clara County has one of the highest rates of TB still.
So tuberculosis, we thought we had killed off, and we changed our name after 10, 20 years as the Tuberculosis Society. But as we've seen with COVID changing forms, tuberculosis has developed some pretty nasty forms, particularly behind the old line that we used to call the Iron Curtain, because the Soviet Union and its countries did not do a very good job trying to control the health of its residents, and particularly those that got stuck in its prisons. So there certainly are problems associated with tuberculosis these days. And since I mentioned it, COVID, in fact, is lung disease as well. And Dr. Lula did a great job of discussing that. Mm-hmm. So what else do you do that we ought to talk about?
Well, we do a bunch of different presentations to various school levels. We do, so far we've done middle school, high school, and even college presentations regarding Vaping 101. We also do environmental impacts of tobacco use and how that impacts not only our bodies, but also our planet. We do a bunch of different, we join in on a bunch of different coalitions. So with Breathe California, our name is very long, and we serve a bunch of different regions. And with that, we are on a bunch of different coalitions within different counties as well, making sure that the efforts that we do are really impactful, because as a team, as a smaller team in a nonprofit, we really have to strategically plan and make sure that our community partners are all on the same page, and we're really working together to make forth a better world.
So that sounds gloriously good. We have about a minute left. What do you want people to remember about this program?
Yeah. I want to say that Breathe California is the local clean air and healthy lungs leader. And while I focus a lot of my efforts on tobacco, we have a really strong team of resourceful individuals that are able to assist individuals in whatever capacity that they can. So I encourage all of you to learn more about Breathe California by visiting our website and learning about the different services and programs that we have, and reaching out to any program managers about our different services. And if there are any possible collaborations, I highly encourage that as well. We love to work with our community members and our partners, and work together to provide more services and really serve our community.
Sheila, Phan, thank you very much for joining us. This has been Breathe California's TV show, Environmental Concerns. You can take control over your lives and reduce your health risk, and we're going to work as hard as we can to help you out. See you next week.